What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Judah, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my favorite books in 2024. So a lot of my favorite books were in series, so I'm just going to show you the whole series because that just seemed like what was easier to do. So I don't know where I want to start because a lot of these are just like book talk books because I really only read like book talk books. That's something I never want to say because I want to read more than just book talk books, but literally all my books that I have here that are favorites are well-known book talk books, except some of them are on book talk and you'll probably know what they are even if you haven't heard much about them, but they're still like book talk books. So my goal for the next year is to read more books that I just find on my own because that's just something I want to do because I don't want to be that basic book talk person recommending books that you've already seen 100 times. But I'm gonna go in the order in that I think I read all these series because I want to do that. We're gonna get into it. Sorry, I was just getting myself organized because I'm not very good at being like that, even though my homeroom is clean right now, but it's fine. So to start off the year, this was one of the first book series that I read. I really only read book series this year. I read a few standalones, but that's also a goal for next year is for me to read more standalones because Lord knows I'm in a lot of series right now. But the first series that I read that I think is one of my favorite series is the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I honestly think Jennifer Lynn Barnes is one of my favorite authors because I love all her books. I loved the Inheritance Games. I loved the Grandest Game. I loved the Natural series, and then I'm planning on reading more of her books just because I loved these ones so much. But basically this is a book series of 4. It goes The Naturals, then it goes Killer Instinct, then it goes All In, and then it goes Bad Blood. And this was a very exciting book series to start the year off with because these 2 books were 5 stars for me, and then these 2 books were 4 stars, which I feel like if I go through and reread them again, they will be 5 stars because I just loved the plot so much. And one thing that takes me off about myself is that I don't read a lot of mysteries, even though mystery, thriller, and murder mystery vibes, it's my favorite genre basically, that and fantasy and dystopian, and I read so much fantasy and romantasy, and it just makes me mad because I don't read a lot of mysteries, so we're gonna have to change something about that this year. But if you didn't know, this book series follows a girl named Cassie, and she's advanced at noticing different things and reading people because, I don't know, that's just what all these books have to be about, right? But basically she gets invited into an FBI group of teens. They're like 17, 18 age, like that, and they're all teens and they all have their own little special talent that they're good at, and she can read people really well and she can notice things. And basically they're not supposed to work on open cases, but they obviously do because where would the fun be in just working on the closed cases that they haven't solved yet, that the FBI couldn't solve. And so in the first book there's a murder, or there's a string of murders. It's serial killer vibes right there, and they all are relating to Cassie because Cassie's mom was murdered and they never solved that case, but then the serial killer kept murdering people like Cassie's mom. Actually, I don't remember if Cassie's mom was murdered. I know Cassie's mom was, at least she's not with Cassie anymore, but I think Cassie's mom is dead. I think so. But I really don't remember that well because I read this in January. So I'm gonna assume that Cassie's mom was murdered, and basically they're trying to find a killer who is doing copycat murders of that, because a lot of the victims in these murders are basically lookalikes of Cassie's mom. So I really do love this series. It's a very much joy. I highly recommend this to you all because it's just amazing. It's really just so amazing, and I'm literally going to reread it as soon as possible. What do I want to talk about next? The next book I guess I should go into... I'm getting a call. Hold on a second, my grandma's calling me. Hello. Filming a video. Bye. Give me 1 second, I have to text real quick. Okay, there, we're moving on now. I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, the next book that I'm going to talk about leads off of this series because it's by the same author. As I said, Jennifer Lynn Barnes. She did it again. And one of my favorite books of the year was The Grandest Game. I rated this 4 stars, but that is purely on the fact that I thought it started off slower than her books usually do. Her books are so fast-paced, and this book did get to the fast pace that I believed her books all started off. And let's just say this might be even better than the Inheritance games. Only the next books will tell that, but this book was amazing. I thought I wasn't gonna like it at first because, I don't know, it just was all over the place for me. And then when the plot started to pick up, I was like, oh my gosh, it's so good. This follows 3 new characters, Lyra, Rowan, and Gigi. Gigi's not a new character, and I don't know if the other 2 are new characters, but they're definitely main characters. And Gigi, she was in the Inheritance games, but only for 1 book. And then the other 2, I don't think are. They might be mentioned in the other series, but I don't think they're like your characters at all. But anyway, I don't want to spoil the Inheritance games, but it's another mystery. It's like a competition that they're all competing in, and there's more people competing in the competition, but the book follows these 3 POVs, so it's a triple POV, and it's amazing. And the original characters from the Inheritance games, they're not a big part of it. Well, Grayson is. Grayson's a big part of this book, but the rest of them, they're mentioned in the book, and they're in the book, but they're not main characters. They're more like side characters that will be in randomly because they need to be. But I suggest this book to you because it is amazing and I'm in love with it. So the next book series I'm going to talk about, it's probably one of my favorite book series and might involve my favorite books of the year because, I don't know, it's really hard for me to say that I have a favorite book of the year because it's just so hard to decide from all of them, and a lot of these books made me feel the same. But if I had to choose a favorite book, it probably would be any of the books in this series because I love it. And the series I'm talking about, if you can't tell, is the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. This is an incomplete series, so it's a big thing for me to say I really like this series because I could not like the series next year purely on the last book. But I loved this book. I believe I rated it a 5 stars. I probably did. If not, I'm going to go change it. I know I rated this one a 5 stars because I'm in love with Adina. So I rated this one 5 stars, and it's short and it's just a novella. And then the second book, I think I rated 4.5 because the ending was so like hyped up to me, and it just didn't feel that crazy to me because it seemed like a good ending. Like it seemed like the ending fit there, and it wasn't like that out of the ordinary. And I honestly kind of, that was what was gonna happen. Sorry, I can't talk. And yeah, but if you have not read this series, I recommend this to you because it's just a good series. Like there's not much cursing. There's not spice. There's like some steamy moments, but not that steamy, if that makes sense. And I hate spice and steam, so take this from me. There is some steam in it. I'm like warning. But we love this book series, and we will be reading the 3rd one. I really wish we got another novella, though. I really wish we did, because we wanted another tiny book to go along with the series. Because I just love. We love. So, yeah. Oh, maybe I should explain this book just a little bit to you guys. So basically, if you've not heard about this book, the way I can describe it is a mix between Hunger Games and the Red Queen series. Or the Red Queen book, because I didn't finish that series because there was some spice in it. So I had to DNF it in the middle of this series, which was really sad, but it's fine. And this book follows a girl named Peyton, and she is an ordinary. And ordinaries are not the most liked people in this world, because it's just unfortunate for them. I'm trying to think though, because I don't remember. I want to reread this series too. Okay, yeah. So the people who are born ordinary are banished, basically. So she has been posing as a psychic for her whole life, y'all. She has been trained, and she's actually really good at it because she's really good at reading people, kind of like our friend Cassie over there. She's really good at reading people. She even convinced the prince and the king and the other prince that she was psychic. And so that's how she got to compete in their, I forgot what they're called, but it's kind of where the Hunger Games part comes in. The purging trials. I just read that in the description. But they're called the purging trials, and she competes in them because she saves the prince's life. She saves his life, and she ends up getting put in the purging trials, which basically the purging trials, you're kind of fighting eight, maybe 12 others. Or like 8 people are fighting or 12 people are fighting. And basically they're all fighting to the death. So yeah, there's the Hunger Games part of it. And she's put in it, and she doesn't know how she's going to survive because there's people with other abilities. They're called the elites, by the way, who are so much more powerful. and it's just crazy. They're just so much more powerful, and she's trying to survive it. And there's a lot of corrupt government in this book type of thing, I guess. I think it's like really quick because the ordiners are getting banished, so it's kind of discrimination, and we love it. And this book had a very crazy ending, double crazy ending. It ended, it's like what happens and you think the book's over, and then it's not over, and then another thing happens and you're just like, this book killed me, just by the way. It made me want to cry. And then this book did the same thing all over again. So we will be rereading the series before the next book comes out because it's just sad. And y'all, there are rumors that Lauren Roberts plagiarized, and do not say that to me because it will make me sad that you just said that to me, and it would make me really, really, really sad. Okay, and then we have, I'm gonna do this one first, a book series that I read and I loved, the Caraval series. I love these covers, just look at them. These are some of my favorite covers of the years. The only thing I don't like about them is the little not finished thing, but like, we like it. I don't know if I'm ever gonna reread this series though. Don't judge me, y'all. But this book's got very steamy. I started slacking with my, what is it called? My filter, I guess. I kind of, because the kissing scenes especially, and not as much in this one, but in these two, were just very steamy. Like, there's not spice, don't get me wrong, but I would consider it to be some spice, I guess, on Fable is what I would say, because it gets kind of descriptive with that, and I just got to the point where I was skipping it, where they started kissing, because it has to do a lot with the storyline, especially in Legendary. But I still, like, if you're okay with spice and stuff like that, I would recommend it to you, but I probably will never pick up this series again. I also read Spectacular, which is the novella that just came out this year, and I read it in less than 24 hours, so yeah. I kind of read it like at night, and then I finished it in the morning. It was just, that was a lot. But this series will forever be in my heart because I love the characters, I loved the plot line, I love the way it made me feel. It's kind of like fairy tale vibes. It gave Alice in the Wonderland vibes to me, like, hence, like, cards. Well, that's not a card symbol, but these two are card symbols. It gave, like, it, like, made me feel like Disney fairy tale meets, like, fantasy, like, intense fighting and stuff. And also fairy tale, wait, I said that, and Alice in the Wonderland specifically. It made me feel that vibe very much because of Caraval. Caraval is basically the whole plot of the first one. Let me explain. The first book revolves around Scarlet Dragna, and she is been on an island her whole life with her sister and her father. Her mother died at a very, very young age for her, and basically she's been on an island with her father. Her father is abusive, so trigger warning for that. And he, like, hits them. I don't know, he doesn't do it a lot because he's not a big character in this series. But he hits her and her sister, and he gets really mad at them a lot. And she's been basically writing letters to a guy named Legend, who is in charge of Caraval. And she's like, please let me come in Caraval, please give me a ticket to Caraval, because Caraval is basically like a game where if you win like a lot of riches, I think. Sorry, I don't really remember it that much either because I'm just not that good at remembering stuff. But it's basically, it's just a game that they play. And I mean, it gets very intense, obviously, because it's that fantasy and we need that intense factor to it. But when Scarlet originally is not going to go because she gets invited to it, Legend writes her back and she gets invited. She originally wasn't going to go, but her sister wanted to go. Her sister got on the boat with some mysterious pirate guy, and so Scarlet went with her, obviously, because she didn't want to let her sister go on. But the second they got to the island where Caraval was, her sister was kidnapped, and so Scarlet had to win the game to get her sister back. And I'm not going to tell you how it ended. But the series just kept getting better and better and better, and I loved it. Moving on, this video has gone on for a while, but it's fine. So this series is a fun one for me to talk about because we loved this book, which is the first book, and then we loved this book even more, and then this book we DNF'd. How exciting. Okay, so the book, I didn't get this because I saw it on Book Talk, but I've seen it on Book Talk since I've gotten it. I saw this at Barnes & Noble's while I was there one time, and I was like, looks interesting. Then I read it, and I was like, sounds interesting. So I bought it, and then I originally read this book last year, I think. 2023 is when I read this book, but I read this book this year, I believe. I definitely did. I definitely read this book this year, and I annotated and everything. My tabs don't really go with the color scheme, but it's okay. They don't have to. I really think I wrote a lot in this book, but I definitely did on some pages because I remember I got heated on a page. I highlighted and stuff. I write a lot, actually. Well, not a lot. I wrote some. Basically, I got to this book, and it's just so long, and it was taking me forever to read, so I was like, I'm done. And I DNF'd it. Which, now that I look back on it, I'm probably going to read this eventually. I won't reread the series just because I don't think I want to, because like with all the books that I want to reread this year already, I don't think I'm gonna have enough room for books that I want to read that are new books. So yeah, but I love these series. I love it. It's like definitely dystopian, and it's very, very amazing. Let me explain the book now. So basically this book follows a girl named Citra and a guy named Rowan, dual POV. We love dual POV. And they're both chosen to be Scythe apprentices. A Scythe is in the future world. I mean, in the future world, there, like, you can't die, basically. There's ways you can get healed, and there's ways that you just don't get sick. And so they appoint people called Scythes who do the killing for population control, obviously, because we need population control. And you choose people at random, or you're supposed to. The Scythe kingdom is corrupt. And Rowan and Citra are chosen to be Scythe apprentices, so they're gonna like learn how to be Scythes. And basically this ticks off like all the other Scythes, and so the whole book is about how that goes down, and then we go on to the next books in the series. I don't really know how it ends because I DNF'd this chunky book. So next series, we are going into the next series. I don't know why I just talked about that series, because we have another Stephanie Garber series, the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, which is a spin-off series from the Caraval series, follows a new character named Evangeline Fox. It is a trilogy, but I don't have the third book. I'll put a picture somewhere. It's called A Curse for True Love, and that was my least favorite book in the series. I feel like the series fell off there, but it's fine because I really liked these two books. And this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. It was the only one there. I could not buy the regular edition because this is the regular edition. So yeah, it's fine. But basically this is a spin-off series. Follows Evangeline Fox. She basically believes in true love and happiness and all of that. And she basically has been secretly dating, recording, I guess if you want to follow the lines of the book. I forget his name. But she's been like dating him and stuff. And then her stepsister, plot twist, gets engaged to him, and that's where her story starts off. And she basically goes and she prays to Jack of Hearts, or no, not the Jack of Hearts, that's a card, the Fate Jacks, who's Jack of Hearts, I think? Yeah, Prince of Hearts. Okay, yeah, his name is Jax, and he is in these books, the second one and the third one at least, not the first one I don't think. But he's also in this series, and she prays to him that she would stop the wedding. And then basically that starts off her whole story. She ends up going to the Northern Kingdoms, I think is what they're called, or the Northern Lands, I don't know. But I love this series. And the third book was good, but I feel like it was just a lot considering these two books. Like this bit on the cliffhanger, rated it 5 stars. And then the third book, I was just like, okay, come on guys, come on. We can do better. But it's fine. I still liked the series. So yeah. Oh, that was all the books? Oh wow, I guess that's all the books. All my favorite book series, they were all book series. Literally all of them. So that's exciting. So next year, and 1 year from now, hopefully I have some standalones that I can talk about, because I didn't read a lot of standalones this year. So yeah. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, press the like button and subscribe, and I will see you all somewhere else on the internet. Peace!